Hi everyone, welcome back to Roll Cougs Weekly. I'm Aiden Voorhees.
I'm Kendall Janosko.
And here's everything you might have missed from the past week in Chatham Athletics. Stay tuned to the end for a special interview with women's basketball coach David Sauer.
On Tuesday, January 14th, the women's ice hockey team played against SUNY Cortland and lost the game 8-0.
Last week, Chatham women's basketball defeated Teal 97-49 on Monday, January 13th, with Coach David Sauer picking up his 100th career victory with the win. Madison Neuro had 14 points in that one. Kendall Haymore had 7 rebounds, and Charjay Brock picked up 5 assists and had 3 steals. And 2 days later, on January 15th, women's basketball defeated St. Vincent 73-62, with Ashley Loudon leading the way for Chatham with 22 points and 3 assists. Neuro had 9 rebounds in that one. Charjay Brock had 4 steals, and Alyssa Lacus had 2 blocks.
On Friday, January 17th, the women's ice hockey team played their first game against Buffalo State, where they lost 6-1. The Chatham goal came from Liv McTavish for her second of the season, assisted by Chelsea Clark and Morgan Black.
Women's basketball picked up their third win of the week over Westminster on Saturday, January 18th, with a 103-51 victory over the Titans. Hannah Chanot had 22 points with 6 three-pointers to lead the way in that one. Madison Neuro grabbed 8 rebounds and blocked 2 Titan shots, and Charjay Brock had 3 assists and tied her career high with 7 steals. Women's basketball now moves to 9-2 in PAC play, and they are 11-4 overall. They're second place in the conference currently.
On Saturday, January 18th, the women's ice hockey team played their second game against Buffalo State on senior night and won 4-2. The Chatham goals came from Clara Mueller for the first of her career, assisted by Rainey Jessup, Chelsea Clark for the third of the season, assisted by Liv McTavish and Haley Bratton, Sophia Taylor for the fifth of the season, assisted by Clara Mueller and Rainey Jessup, and Clara Mueller also collected her second of the game and of her season, assisted by Peyton Lloyd. The women's ice hockey UCHC record right now is 0-4-0 with an overall record of 2-12-1, fourth in the UCHC.
Men's basketball also took on St. Vincent on Wednesday, January 15th. They also picked up the W 72-64. Dion Pinkett had 21 points and 8 rebounds. Levinson Xavier had 8 rebounds as well, and Blaine Gartley had 3 assists and 5 steals.
On Friday, January 17th, the men's ice hockey team played their first game against SUNY Brockport, winning 5-0. The Chatham goals came from Brendan Merriman for the third of his season, assisted by Jacob Amar and Dylan Young. Brendan Merriman for the second of the game and fourth of the season, assisted by Cadson Johnson and Nick Cyprian. Kyle Contessa for the fourth of the season, assisted by Beck McLean and Michael Roby. Nick Cyprian for the fourth of the season, assisted by Tyler Samadral and Cadson Johnson. Kyle Contessa for the second of the game and fifth of the season, unassisted. Gino Pecora also got his first career shutout, collecting 42 saves.
Men's basketball made it a 5-0 week for the two programs on Saturday, January 18th, defeating Westminster 76-72, coming back from down 17 points in the second half in that one. Dion Pinkett had 28 points to lead Chatham. He picked up a double-double with 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 steals. Levinson Xavier also had a double-double for Chatham. He scored 23 points and pulled down 10 boards. Blaine Gartley dished out 3 assists and blocked 2 Titan shots. The men's basketball team is now 13-3 overall on the season and 10-1 in PAC play. They are in first place in the conference.
Then on Saturday, January 18th, the men's ice hockey team played their second game against SUNY Brockport, losing 6-3. The Chatham goals came from Tyler Samadral for the fifth of his season, assisted by Nick Cyprian, Zach Connor for the first of his season, assisted by Nick Cyprian again, and Zach Connor for the second of the game and of the season, assisted by Kyle Contessa. The men's ice hockey UCHC record right now is 3-6-1 with an overall record of 4-10-1, third in the UCHC. On Saturday, January 18th, the men's and women's indoor track and field teams traveled to the Muskie Meet number 1. The men's team finished 11 out of 11, collecting 7 points, and the women's team finished 8 out of 13 with 38 points. Ariel Bruner also collected 2 first placements in the long and triple jump. Also on Saturday, January 18th, the men's and women's swim teams traveled to St. Vincent College. The men's team lost 162.5 to 69.5. Caleb Trainum came in first in the 200-yard butterfly and 200-yard freestyle. Max Rollins came in first in the 50-yard freestyle, and Cal Hockman finished first in the 100-yard freestyle. Xavier Johnston also came in first in the 1-meter dive. The women's team lost 184 to 85, with Allie Cohen coming in first in the 1-meter dive, and Hannah Urinek coming in first in the 200-yard butterfly. The men's and women's swim pack record right now is 1-3, with an overall record of 1-6, fifth in the PAC.
Women's basketball is back in action, hosting Washington and Jefferson on Wednesday, January 22nd at 6 p.m. They were defeated by the Presidents on November 26th, 64 to 54. W&J is undefeated in the pack this year. They are 1 spot ahead of Chatham, currently in first place in the pack. Men's basketball will also take on the Presidents on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Chatham won an overtime matchup with the Presidents on November 26th, 74 to 72. W&J is 8-3 in the pack and 12-4 overall. They are 3 spots behind Chatham in conference play.
On Friday, January 24th, the men's and women's swim teams will compete against Juniata at 5 p.m., and the women's swim team will compete against Franciscan at 5 p.m.
Women's basketball will face Allegheny on Saturday, January 25th at 12 p.m. They lost to Allegheny on November 23rd by a 73 to 65 scoreline. Allegheny is currently 3rd in the pack with a 9-2 conference record. The men's team will face Allegheny at 2 p.m. on Saturday. They defeated Allegheny 84 to 61 on November 23rd. This will be the alumni game at the AFC. Allegheny is currently 4-7 in the pack, 7 spots behind the first place Cougars.
Then on Friday, January 24th, women's ice hockey will play their first game against Nazareth set for 6:30 p.m., and Saturday, January 25th, will play their second game against Nazareth set for 1:30. The head-to-head history between the two teams is 0-13-1, and their last match on December 2nd, 2023 ended in a shootout loss for Chatham. Nazareth's UCHC record right now is 3-1-0 with an overall record of 9-5-0, first in the UCHC, 3 spots ahead of Chatham. Also on Friday, January 24th, the men's ice hockey team will play their first game against SUNY Geneseo at 7 p.m., and Saturday, January 25th, will play their second game against SUNY Geneseo at 4 p.m. The head-to-head history between the two teams is 0-2, and their last match on November 9th, 2024 ended in a 6-3 Chatham loss. SUNY Geneseo's UCHC record right now is 9-0-1 with an overall record of 13-1-1, first in the UCHC, 2 spots ahead of Chatham.
Men's volleyball will be back in action with a tri-match in Erie, Pennsylvania. They'll take on Penn State Barron at 12 p.m. Penn State Barron is 1-3 this season. The team will then face Hilbert at 4 p.m. Last season they defeated Hilbert 3-0. Hilbert's record this season is 4-5.
And on Saturday, January 25th, the men's and women's indoor track and field teams will be at Muskie Meet number 2 in New Concord, Ohio.
I'm here with Chatham women's basketball coach David Sauer. Coach, you recently picked up your 100th win last Monday against your alma mater in Thiel College. Can you talk a little bit about what that meant to you personally?
Yeah, I think I just kind of really reflected on all the teams we've had over the years since we've been here. I think it was really special to have our 2 assistant coaches that were with us in that game were also a part of our first victory here back in, I guess that'd be all the way 2018. So it was really cool to be able to reflect on that after the game. We didn't even really realize it, or I didn't, until I walked in the locker room and then they're throwing water all over me. I didn't know what the heck went on. But yeah, really exciting. and really a culmination of the hard work of a lot of young women through the years here.
You started coaching while you were at Teal. What was the moment where you realized you wanted to go into that profession?
Yeah, I started there as a player, got hurt as a freshman. Going into my sophomore year, I knew I wasn't going to play. The women's coach at the time, I had already kind of been working out a lot of the players and doing leading a lot of player-led workouts, even as a freshman and as while I was out hurt. She made the suggestion, why don't you come on and coach with us? She had lost an assistant coach at that time. And then from that point, I was with both the men and the women the next 3 years. And really day one of starting that sophomore year, I knew I could kind of never look back. This is what I wanted to do. So
you've got some experience coaching assistant at the D1 level at Stetson and ULM. What, when you came back to Chatham, what was the decision to come back to the PAC, and why did you want to do that?
Yeah, so the sports information director at the time, Kevin Fenstermacher, was also a guy at that time, back when I was looking at the opportunity, was the assistant commissioner in our conference. He's now the associate AD at Westminster. He had suggested at that time, hey, you should really look at this opportunity. They've recently gone co-ed. They're really trying to put an emphasis on athletics. And then as soon as I got here, I remember, I think it was in March when I interviewed, and there was probably 3 inches of snow on the ground. But Leonard, our athletic director, I think his vision for the program, our president at the time, where they wanted to take it, the emphasis they wanted to put on our basketball programs, it really became an exciting opportunity, and obviously one that I'm thankful for.
And you made the PAC championship game last 2 years, last year going to the NCAA tournament. What was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. There's nothing like it. And I think having the opportunity with this group to go to the championship the year before, to then come back and finish the job last year was super exciting. And then the opportunity in the NCAA tournament, I think Transylvania did an amazing job hosting our first round. The experience our team got, obviously for our university athletic department, it was not once in a lifetime, but obviously the first one will always be the most special.
And this year you're going for your 3rd straight PAC championship appearance. Does your coaching philosophy change at all going from regular season to the playoffs, or do you keep preaching the same things?
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing, and keeping the main thing the main thing. I've said it a lot the last few years. Maybe some people wouldn't like it. I don't look at the PAC standings, honestly, until we get to probably the middle of February, maybe that last week, because for us, it's really that next day, what do we have coming? We've got practice. We have, what opponent is up next. That's the most important thing for us every day. So it kind of keeps, I think, the same rhythm to our season as we go from regular season to playoffs. I think the biggest thing we change a little bit as we get to playoff time, the amount of time that we practice. We're not going to be in there for 2.5 hours. We're going to steal extra off days kind of around this time heading into playoffs, just to make sure we're as fresh as possible. But that's really the only thing that changes. Now
that you've been in Pittsburgh, in the city, for a few years, what are your favorite things to do around the city?
Oh, there's so much. I mean, Pittsburgh, I say it to everybody, is a hidden gem. I'm originally from Baltimore, but I've lived all over the country coaching. Definitely my favorite stop. I think the great part, it is a sports town. I think that's, I don't have many hobbies outside of that. So for me, you got NCAA tournament games. Obviously, you have NFL going on. Casino every now and then, and a lot of great restaurants. And I think it's, really a hidden gem when it comes to big cities.
I know you'd probably be biased towards Baltimore if you're from there, but food-wise, who are you picking if you have to choose anywhere between Pittsburgh and Baltimore?
Oh, Pittsburgh for sure. No, Pittsburgh for sure. Seafood, you give it to Baltimore. I'm definitely a soft spot for Maryland crabs and in the summertime. But when it comes to about any other type of restaurant, the great part is all the local spots here. And there's ones that I've been here now 6 going on 7 years. Places I still have to try and have an opportunity to. So it's definitely Pittsburgh when it comes to food.
Good call for the viewers. All right, thanks, Coach Sauer. We're going to go for our 3rd PAC championship in women's basketball this season.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching Roll Cougs Weekly. I'm Aiden Voorhees.
And I'm Kendall Janosko.
And come back next week for more Chatham Athletics.